Roses was painted in 1890 by Vincent van Gogh, and in it is a vase of roses. Now, to the human eye, this painting would look white. But unlike the internet trend of is it a white dress or a blue dress, it would appear that you were looking at a bouquet of white roses in a vase. However, in a letter to his brother Theo, he writes that he just finished a painting of pink roses with a yellow-green background upon his release from Saint Remy, the asylum that he was in. Now, this is a lesson in fugitive paint, and this is how to become a baller on a budget with cheap budget paint. If you're new here, make sure to hit that notification button, hit the like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. If you want to see more content, please subscribe to help this channel out and grow. I truly appreciate it, and I thank you for watching. So let's get back to the video.
Dun, 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 dun. Hi, pigs.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Henry Haight. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and if you're new here, welcome. Here at this channel we talk about everything art, creation of art, tips, ticks, tricks, my mad random ramblings, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. You came on a great night. Today's topic is baller on a budget, how to turn that cheap budget friendly paint into an archival master paint. As everyone knows right now, that with the present administration and their battle cry of the affordability is a hoax, art supplies have increased between 15 to 30% in the last 2.5 years, which means that the supply chain, as well as the source material obtaining pigments and paints, have become increasingly more expensive. Now, this is a lesson not for the artists with a large arsenal of paint. This is targeting basically budget paint and the Dollar Tree and budget-friendly low-end paint. Now, why am I doing this? The reason for this is that when I was starting out, I was completely broke and, you know, the typical starving artist. I'm not starving now, but I do know what it's like to virtually have expensive taste on a beer bottle budget. And this is what this video is about. How do you take a $1 vial or a $1 bottle of paint from the Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby and turn it into something archival? Now, if you look at the Vincent van Gogh Roses painting, you can see that there are slight traces of this, but to the human eye, it just looks like a bouquet of wilted white roses in a green vase. Now, fugitive paint, also fougere, is considered paint that actually is not light fastness and that can run away or escape. As anyone who creates work knows that UV light, sunlight, or any UV type of rays are detrimental to the archival life of an artwork. Now, in modern times, everyone now is open plan, lots of light, skylights and stuff, and UV light can actually affect the vividness, brightness of your artwork, be it a screen print to a painting. And most budget Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby craft bottle paints that you see lack serious pigment, as well as can be detrimental to archival work. That doesn't mean that you can't use it. However, this is how to take that dollar paint, or $1.50 now, and make it more archival. Now, to do this, you have to understand the science of acrylic paint. Now, with essentials and everything, I'm not shaming anyone for using budget paint, but this is for beginners and people on a budget who really want to understand how to make their work more archival, because you want to make your work built to last, bottom line. And you don't have to just break the bank and buy a bunch of things, because yes, sometimes I can be a bougie bitch.
You bougie bitch!
But, you know, I'm in a different position where I have my favorite paints, and I use budget paints with pigments, as well as college graduate level, and then I use professional paints. I mix and match. This is basically just to teach you how to take a budget paint and make it more pigmented and archival. Now, acrylic paint became commercialized in around 1956, and it has three components. It has a polymer, a pigment, and some gum arabic to act as a binder and filler to adhere to the water-soluble binder to make it permanent. Now, the molecular structure of that is to keep the pigment in suspension and adhere to whatever surface, be it a wood panel, canvas, paper, you name it. However, over time, it is susceptible to UV light, and the molecular structure can weaken or change to extreme sunlight, UV light. This is, if you notice in museums, they say no flashing to save the prosperity and longevity of a work. Here I'm using Cultural Hustle Pigments by Stuart Semple. I love these. Now, this is not a sponsored video, but I will leave a link down below. But another one you can use is Earth Pigments. They're non-toxic. They can be used in both oil and acrylic. But this is an exercise in how to understand pigments and paint, and again, the science of actually concocting your own style. You can use a very thin, very flat viscosity, so you could use a lot more matte medium to your liking, or you could do a heavy body with a bit of molding paste and a lot of pigment using medium. Now, I like to use matte medium for the base of my work because glossy stuff can take a long time to dry and stuff like that, but that's just a personal preference for me. But now, the recipe is, what you can do is you can take a tablespoon of pure powder pigment of your choice. You're going to need the discount budget paint as your base. Now for here, I'm also mixing just a little bit of Nova Color slow dry medium along with a fluid extender, just to virtually for me to work consistency to a soft body. Now, this is just my preference, but the more fluid extender that you use, you can use this as a semi-transparent. It's up to you. You can play with it and virtually get a white piece of paper and test out the actual pigmentation of your choice. That is the best way to actually understand how pigments work. Now, most people can say, well, I can just buy these things. The other cheap paint. Again, this is just an experiment and an exercise on actually understanding how paint works, and those who actually buy these budget paints. The reason for this also is that a lot of paints get thrown into landfills, and this is one way for you to be more eco-savvy and environmentally friendly to the actual tools that you're using. Now, this isn't a fix-all and stuff. This is just one thing to virtually help you understand how acrylic paint works, as well as if you're on a budget, it can actually get you in the practice and habit of extending your acrylic paint, your stock. So you have to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Mindful of how your money is spent through your tools. You have to start thinking like a businessman. Ultimately, you don't have to break the bank, but you can spend what you can afford. Not everyone has the luxury of going out and buying series 2, 3, 4. Now, with paints, series 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the higher the series, the harder it is to source those actual pigments. And you notice that through that, the actual price of the paint jumps dramatically. And this is why I'm starting this series, Ballin on a Budget, to virtually get you in the mindset of actually getting more bang for your buck with a budget-friendly paint. Now, with something like Liquitex Basics, it has a level 1 on light fastness. Now, with the budget-friendly, something like Liquitex Basics, Master's Touch, and the others, or even to the paint that I'm showing you here that was purchased at the Dollar Tree, they don't have these ratings. So that would normally mean that they aren't necessarily light fastness. Now, with Fugitive paints, it's normally purples, pinks, neon colors, yellows that are highly susceptible. Even greens can be susceptible to extreme fading over time. Now, like I said before, with a place that has a lot of sunlight in its living quarters, this can affect your artwork. So you have to be, again, thinking how to archive and protect your work against UV light. Now you can use, what I have here is I have a glass plate, a paint muller, a spatula knife. Now you can buy these quite cheaply on Amazon or Hobby Lobby. The muller and the glass plate you can't find at Dollar General, Dollar Tree, but the mullers tend to have a rough surface at the bottom that actually grind down the pigments to make them much more softer. If you find, you can also use a low ball glass, cocktail glass, to virtually grind against a piece of glass that you have. I also use this on my paint palette, which is a glass palette that I found from someone left on the side of a sidewalk, that a 3mm piece of glass that I just repurposed. So the whole thing with this, when you are strapped for cash, you are virtually a lot more creative of how to use your tools and virtually extend your money. So your frugalness is working in your favor. Remember that. One other thing is both Dollar Tree and Hobby Lobby sell separate components, empty paint containers that you can make your own colors and sign and date them of when you actually concocted them. So you have a private palette of something that you actually, these colors that you like to your choice. This is something that works in your favor, and well as get into the habit of working in layers. That is one of the most important things in painting, is that can virtually work these in layers to get a richer and softer, transparent, semi-transparent, however you want. But you will actually start to understand your science of your own tools and paints. Now with the earth pigments, you can buy these for around $6.60. A little goes a long way. So, I would say if you start with the primary colors, this will also get you into the habit of learning the color wheel. You can learn the primaries, the secondaries, and the complementary colors. And then invest in a good white and black. If you want to, you can even use a student grade or a budget-friendly black and white to make the paints make the body work go longer, wider. So the recipe. What you're going to do is you're going to take a tablespoon of pigment. Then you're going to take a tablespoon of the actual low-grade budget-friendly paint, and you're going to use the matte medium. Then you're going to mix them with the palette knife to get a creamy consistency. Use your palette knife to extend and virtually scrape around. Mix it thoroughly. Now, again, like I said, I like to use a fluid extender and a slow dry medium that I get from Nova. Now these are a little more higher grade professionally think, but they do not skimp on your mediums. You don't have to buy a massive jar. You can start to look online and find small 100 milliliter bottles that can virtually get you going, and that way you can understand the science of your paint. But this is a way to connect with your creativity and virtually get your eye to what type of colors you want to build in your palette. The good thing about Hobby Lobby is that they are more of a beginner. Their arsenal or art aisles are more for beginner or intermediate artists with just the bare bones of art supplies. However, on the plus side of that, they do have yearly sales monthly that can virtually knock off 40% on all their Master Touch house brand items that virtually work in your favor to then virtually build up an arsenal. Again, you don't need to go crazy and break the bank, but if you understand you're trying to get in the mindset of making archival, make your artwork built to last, you will actually get in the habit of making your work archival and built to last and protect the work that you're creating. This is the main exercise of this video. So make sure to hit that notification button, hit the like, share, subscribe, leave your comments. If you want to see more content, please subscribe to help this channel out and grow. I truly appreciate it, and I thank you for watching. So that's the end of this video. If you like to see more videos like this, more tutorials, I'm going to be mixing it up in the near future. Let me know in the comments what you think and what type of gallery visits or tutorials of a pro artist to novice beginner, things to help you in the educational part of building up your arsenal and your techniques. Hit that notification bell for all the latest updates. Subscribe, comment, like, share, let me know. I try to get back to everyone as soon as I can. But most of all, I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video again. Keep creating, make art, challenge yourself, show up, do the work, and most of all, enjoy being a baller on a budget. Just because you're broke doesn't mean that you're flat busted. Okay? Stay tuned. Ciao.
Yoko? Oh no! Yoko? Oh no!